live.
Okay.
Please let me in.
I can't stop yawning. No, I'm not sleepy.
Okay, we are live now.
Okay. Why isn't mine? Let me hit I don't know why it's not coming up.
I don't know where that agenda went either. Hold on.
That's weird. I can't pull it up on YouTube, but we are live.
Hold on, I gotta prompt it.
Hmm.
So I was pulling up the agenda. So now we're ready.
I can hear you now.
Okay, good. You're gonna have to put your laptop on mute, Ray. All righty. We are going to call the Wednesday, July 22nd, 2020 regular board meeting to order. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Before we get started this evening, I would like to ask us as a board to take a moment in silence in remembrance of the passing of a fellow Warrensville Heights High School alumni, Don Anderson. He was a class of 1983 graduate. For all of us who knew him, he was just a simply wonderful individual. He is the son of Warrensville Heights City Councilman, Mr. Stanley Anderson, and his wife. So if we can just take a few moments in silence before we start our meeting. Thank you so much. Dr. Rock, can you please call the roll?
Mrs. Gator,
Here.
Mrs. Moomin,
Here.
Mr. Roberts,
Present.
Mr. Freeman,
Ray, you're on mute. Thank you so much.
is he giving us the high sign?
I can't tell. And let me see if I can get him on.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, there we go.
Miss Mitchell,
Here, yes, thank you, here and present. At this time, we're going to recite Ray will recite the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. At this time, I need a motion on the floor to approve item 1.3, approval of tonight's agenda. And before we move to approve it, I just want to ask Dr. Rock and Mr. Jolly, are there any items that need to be added to or removed from tonight's agenda?
No, there's no new additions to tonight's agenda.
All right, thank you. Then may I have a motion to approve item 1.3, please?
Madam Chair, I move to approve 1.3, approval of the agenda for July 22nd, 2020, regular board meeting.
I second.
Thank you. It's been moved and properly seconded. Dr. Rock, can you please call the roll?
Mrs. Moomin,
Yes.
Mr. Roberts,
Yes.
Mrs. Gator,
Yes.
Mr. Freeman,
Yes.
Miss Mitchell.
Yes, motion passes 5-0. At this time, we are going to go to item 1.4, and I'm going to hand the meeting over to Mr. Jolly and Dr. Reynolds as they take us through our next presentation.
Yeah, so I would like to just thank the board for this opportunity to present today. As you know, this is a very unprecedented times that we are going through, and we have worked hard to tonight unveil our plan, our return to learn plan to the board. We are not asking for a vote on the plan at all. We're just asking for continued feedback. As people know, this is a continuous process of looking at data, paying attention to what's going on with the state level, and making adjustments as we go. But we feel it's very important that we have a plan, because eventually kids are going to go back to school. Either they go back to school in the end of August, or they're going to go back to school in January. They're going to go back to school at some point. And what we've done tonight, and I would like to recognize Dr. Reynolds. Dr. Reynolds is our Director of Health and Wellness, who was appointed in May. He's worked very hard and diligently, convening committees, getting input from various different sources, to come up with this plan today. It's been vetted. We've talked to parent groups, we've talked to teacher groups, we talked to administrator groups, we talked to other school districts. Lots of feedback, information, collaboration has went into this plan. So I will start, I do want to recognize our 2 retirees. We're getting to the end of July, and it's getting kind of late. We didn't actually get to have any banquet or anything for them. So what we did do is we did purchase the 2 retirees a plaque. So I just wanted to just go over who they are, share some of their accomplishments, and then from there go into some recent events that's going on in the community, in the district, and then Dr. Reynolds and I will proceed with the plan. So let me start with the retirees. We have 2. So this is congratulations to our, let me get it. To our 2 retirees for the 2020 school year who retired in an unconventional way. March 12th, March 11th was the last day of school. March 12th, everything changed. So we have 2 retirees, Claudia Mateer and Kathleen Buss. Ms. Mateer, as you see, has over 20 plus years in the Warrensville Heights City School District. And this is actually from her. I don't have to read it, but the board can read it. Or I can't read it. I'll read it because I think it would be good. I gotta figure out. But Ms. Mateer states, my 20 years in Warrensville Heights City Schools have been filled with memories that I will carry with me forever. We have celebrated our triumphs and mourned off our tragedies together. We remained a family committed to our Tiger community as well as our own families. We have gone through change, both good and bad, staying united to our cause. I leave you with a bright future for our district, new buildings, strong leadership, and growing enrollment. I know that the next year will have unique challenges, but I am confident that with the strong commitment of each of you have to our district, the staff will rise to the occasion and provide our scholars with excellent instruction. I lead the district with pride in knowing that we have all touched so many lives and that you will all continue this mission. And here's our plaque from Mrs. Mateer. Thank you for your service and dedication. Our second retiree is Miss Kathleen Bussey. Miss Bussey states, thank you to the Warrensville community, the Board of Education, Mr. Jolly, Coach Swift, school administration, staff, and students. I feel very blessed to have taught in the best district in Ohio. I appreciate the support, dedication to the excellent friendship and love you have shown me over the years. Warrensville is truly a very special place where our motto of one team, one vision, one goal lives in all of us every day. Please know as I retire, I will hold you all in my heart forever and always. Tigers for life. Right. And this is Mrs. Bussey's plaque that she received. So this time, I just wanted to open up to the board if anybody have any comments or anything they'd like to add on our 2 retirees.
I'd just like to say that it's been wonderful having both of those educators in our district, and I wish them all the best. And sad that they're leaving, but we understand it's time for them to go on to their next, and I hope that they enjoy their retirement.
Mr. Jolly, I'd just like to say, as far as Miss Bussey, she's been an asset to this district. She's always supporting. She does well with our students. And I just wish both of these excellent employees further success in their life.
Yes, I'd like to say something really quick too. But I've known Mrs. Mateer a lot longer than Mrs. Bussey, and I, you know, she most definitely has been an asset to the district. She's going to be missed. That she loved the students. I can tell you that much. Same with Mrs. Bussey. Mrs. Bussey she's only been with us a few years, but she fit right in. Loved the students. I just remember how she embraced my son when he was going through some rather difficult things in high school, and she really supported him. So naturally for both of them, I wish them both the best, and hope to see them again soon.
Dr. Reynolds, Miss Bussey was one of your teachers. Would you like to make a comment or any?
I
was
would.
one of your teachers.
I would. Miss Bussey was a surprise to me. I inherited Miss Bussey, fortunately, and I actually thought that she had been in the district for 20 years or so. And apparently she was fairly new to the district when I came, and the reason why I thought so is because kids just loved her. The kids responded well to her. She responded well to the kids. She was doing some really culturally responsive practices in that classroom. And the crazy part is that I actually spoke with her today through text, and she's settled in pretty nicely in Arizona right now. It's a little warm for her, but she's settled in right now. But she was definitely an asset to our staff. She did a wonderful job.
I would like to say that coming from a social, either a social worker perspective or a substitute teacher perspective, I saw these two ladies as a dedication. Their heart was in helping our children. And I just want to say thanks to both of them, because I know they enjoyed what they did. And that make a difference in when you're teaching children, that they know you care about them and you want the best for them. So again, thanks, Ms. Bussey, and thank Ms. Mateer.
Mr. Roberts, anything you want to add? Or?
Unfortunately, Superintendent Jolly, with me being a rookie here, I didn't have an opportunity to get to know either one of them very well. But in listening to like the great accolades that my colleagues have given, I see that I missed out in interacting with them. But I do, of course, wish both of them the best on their next chapter in life.
Yeah, both of those educators would be very hard to replace. They both have a unique talent, unique skill set, and most of all, they love the students. And it's very difficult to find people who love the students as much as those did. Going above and beyond the call of duty, Miss Mateer, we had a young man who came from John Dewey who was very challenging, and Miss Mateer took that young man, and actually he had Down syndrome. His name was LaShawn, and Miss Mateer took that young man. That young man knew his letters, he knew his name, he knew everything, because of Miss Mateer's patience and love that she provided that young man, even to the point where he had moved to Euclid, and Euclid paid us for her to keep teaching him. That's how her impact on that young man was. And then Miss Bussey, her outstanding. I mean, she just jumped in. She's a volleyball coach. She won awards for the district in her short time here. She did all kind of creative things. They did regattas in the pool. They did line dancing. When our alumni Mo Keys came and she did line dancing. I mean, just the creativity and exposure that she provided our students. She also did the mock trial program. She worked closely with Miss Sorrells to do the mock trial program. So here's our gym teacher who is instrumental in the mock trial program. And to the point where we had 2 mock trial teams. We went from 1 team and then we had 2. And we're the only African-American school district that competed at the county level. And we went from 1 team to 2 and actually had a student win an award this year. So Ms. Bussey contribution to us has been outstanding. She's, like I said, she'll be very difficult to replace because, you know, when people are born to teach, and
Right.
both of these young ladies were born to be educators.
Right.
It's been a blessing to have them. So I'm very honored today to be able to present them and recognize them. I wish we could have did our traditional thing, but the nature of today won't allow us. So thank you both ladies. Dr. Rock, would you like to say something? I know everybody else said something, but
I'd say congratulations and thank you for their dedication and years of service to the district. Thanks for letting me have a comment.
so we have a couple of events I just want to bring to the board's attention. If I can get it to work. Also, tomorrow night, we will have our virtual town hall meeting. This is when we will, Dr. Reynolds and I will unveil our plan that we will go through with the board tonight, share what our initial thoughts are, what our initial plan is. We have 62 questions that we received from our parents already that we will address. So we asked parents to submit questions before the meeting, and we have over 62 at this time. So we're getting ready for that, and we'll be prepared tomorrow at 7 o'clock. We will have our first virtual town hall meeting about our return to school plan. On August 1st, we partner with the Deltas, the Kappas, the City of Warrensville, Juanita Brent, the Census, to do a community checkup, which they would use our parking lot at the high school. And and basically what they're going to do is have voter registration, free census completion to make sure everybody is registered for the census, which is so important to our community. I was told recently that we are 10% under our goal, so we have to ramp that up. And then also they will have free produce for people to come. So Ms. Levert, I know Ms. Levert has reached out to Ms. Mitchell to see if she can provide more produce. So it seems this would be a great event Saturday at the high school. Again, it's all drive up, drive in stuff. No one gets out the car, no congregation, just driving through. And there will be members of each of the representatives of each of the sororities and fraternities there to assist people in their car to register for the census, to register to vote. And if people need testing for COVID, they will be tested. On Friday will begin our freshman orientation. This year, we will have a virtual freshman orientation. It starts Friday night with a freshman family night drive-in movie, which they will set up a screen at the high school. And then they will have a video of Mr. Vaughn and the teachers. Students will get their schedules and they get their Chromebooks for the start of the year. And then throughout next week from 9 to 1, the freshmen will be part of a virtual Bridge Academy. So historically, what will happen is they'll come into the high school and go through the different processes. But this year, we're going to do it all virtually. So our students would be actively engaged in that. I would just like to give kudos to Ms. Ruth Ray and Mr. Vaughn for outstanding work in transitioning the academy from one that was live to one that is virtual. And then also our back to school fair. Again, this is a historical staple of the district. We will have a drive-through fair this year. So at the high school on August 8th, we'll be passing out food. We'll have our school setting up tables outside and to provide information for our parents as they drive through. We also will give away book bags and supplies. We are very concerned about enrollment. The COVID has kind of stalled our preschool and kindergarten enrollment at this time. So we are hoping that this event would kick off the enrollment cycle. And then last but not least, and this will lead us into our conversation about our return to school plan, but I just wanted to share the latest of our initial survey with our parents to determine how many parents were interested in online instruction and how many is interested in return to school instruction. Our latest one was 721 responses, as at 63% of parents said they want online and 36.8% said they want their kids to return to school. As we proceed through this, our presentation that will be upcoming, we will unveil our plan to redo this survey and actually have people sign up and commit to what option they choose. Okay, so that concludes that part of my presentation. I want to open up the questions before we move into the return to school plan. Are there any questions or comments?
I have none.
I have none.
I don't think there are any, Mr. Jolly. You can move forward.
Okay. Okay, so what we are about to unveil today is the Warrensville Heights City Schools Return to Learn framework. As I shared earlier, this has been a collaboration of and combination of a lot of different stakeholders' input. Dr. Reynolds, since his appointment, has been working diligently on creating this plan, this framework for us to return to school. In this presentation, Dr. Reynolds will present what our recommendations are. He will present how we would clean the building, what would happen to students if they're sick, and so forth. At this time, I will go to Dr. Reynolds, who will proceed with the presentation.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening,
All
sir.
right. So at the end of last school year, we learned a tremendous amount. And one of the things that we did learn is that our board has placed us in a great situation, a better situation than most districts, because of the commitment to providing kids with technology. Technology has been the point where we've been able to still continue to access information, access lessons. So what we were able to learn also is just that how to improve the efforts that we're making and how to prepare for the up and coming school year. So the plan that we developed were a collection of ideas from other districts, from our subcommittees, a collection of information coming from the CDC, and also from Cleveland Clinic. And we put all this information together just to develop a plan that was best for our students. So first thing that we wanted to ensure that we provided as much safety, as much efforts within our safety as possible to ensure that, any questions about what we're doing, how we're keeping kids safe, that's at the forefront. We go to the next slide. So on the next slide, we can kind of take a look and focus. This is table of contents, but what we're going to be focusing on is how we basically jump right into the presentation, Mr. Jolly. We're going to go straight for the form.
I'm sorry, Mr. Reynolds, I only have the document. I do not have the presentation.
Okay, that's fine. We can go right through the document.
Yeah.
So what this developing of the reopening, that basically goes through all the information on how we develop this plan. And how we develop this plan, again, we use information coming from different groups within the building, teachers. We've also had groups with parents. We've placed out a survey for our parents as well. We're using the information, but as Mr. Jolly has stated, we're going back after we present all of the information so parents can really understand exactly what our plan is. So under the charge of Superintendent Jolly, we were able to come up with this framework. And the reason why we're calling it a framework, because it has to be a living document. Every day we're seeing there's more information, there's better information. There's a lot of different things that are changing. There are the alerts that we'll talk about a little bit later. There are those alerts that are out there, the public health alert, that we are watching as well to look at our county to see whether the numbers are leveling out or whether the numbers are spiking, which will aid us in our decision making as well. But know that all of our effort, we cut no corners on this. We spoke with several of the districts just to see what they're doing, to see if our plan aligned with theirs, to see what other folks thinking was. I've even spoken with folks from my home state of South Carolina to really understand how to handle some issues in transportation as well. So we really put the work into this area. We can go to the next area.
I also want to add that we spoke with Dr. McKenzie of South Wayne Hospital. actually to the point now we have a weekly meeting set up with her to go over concerns, go over our plans to ensure that our plan meets all the requirements necessary to ensure everyone is safe. I thoroughly went over our plan with her, and she really believed and thought that our plan was very solid.
So as Mr. Jolly is stating, it is important for us to make sure that we are in front of the folks who live this, the folks who have been trained to understand exactly what this virus is and to understand exactly what our safety measures should be. So the things that we're looking at when we talk about safety measures, and we'll get into a little deeper in other parts of this presentation, masks. We'll talk about masks and creating a policy for masks. But what we're doing is recommending that all students, where it's highly recommended that all students wear masks. We understand that there are going to be some students who are going to have some difficulties. So we put some things into place to be a shield, and no pun intended, to be a shield to add to the layers of the things that we're trying to do to protect kids. And as for staff members, we're recommending that all staff members wear masks. Sanitation areas, we're getting to all the parts of that, but basically it's talking about making sure that we're hitting the high traffic areas, how often we're doing this, where we're doing this, what products we're using. We're going building by building. What we have here is just the overview of what we're going to do as a district, but what we're doing, we're also creating a plan with individual schools, because obviously the buildings are different, the different areas of where more kids are going to be navigating through. We're creating a plan for each building as well. Daily screenings, we'll talk about that later, where kids will come to the building and they will be screened before they even enter the building. Staff members screened as well. Even at the buses, we're also taking temperatures as well. One of our biggest weapons is our social distancing and masks placed together. So we're ensuring that even in the hallways, that there are markers in the hallways to remind students to social distance. In the classroom, the seating is 6 feet apart. I've actually gone through to try to figure out exactly how to manage the classroom. So one classroom will look like the next. And the reason for that is to ensure that we're doing the same type of things in each one of the classrooms to keep kids safe. And again, like I said, markers will be throughout the building. And what we're also going to be doing is limiting gatherings, different gatherings throughout the building, large groups. We're just going to ensure that those things are not happening. But one of the major things that I learned for myself was just kind of the process of working within our elementary schools, that parents want to know what's going on in the building. However, with recommendations from the CDC, it's recommended that we limit the number of visitors that we have in the building. So to alleviate some of the curiosity and some of the concerns that our parents may have about what the building looks like, we're actually creating videos to ensure that we're doing kind of virtual tours of the building to ensure that parents know exactly what it's going to look like. We're also going to be doing some virtual open houses as well, just to ensure that we're answering individual parent questions. We're doing the forum tomorrow, but by school, there will be some questions that parents will be having. And this slide is in general. We included that just so parents can know just some of the things they can do at home. These are definitely the things that we're doing in the building, but these are the things that they can do at home. Wearing masks, make sure you're covering your mouth and nose when you're coughing or sneezing, all the different things that we've heard so much about, washing of the hands and so on and so forth. But we wanted to ensure that we're not just creating this plan, that we're also creating something that our parents can look at and learn some things that they can do at home as well. And then the next area, we really get into what social distancing should look like and why we're doing social distancing, why it's important. This image is something that is very important, that I want to ensure that everyone understands how this works. Everything is working in chorus with the other. We have so many different things that are going to be in place, but one thing will need the other. As if we're just saying we're only going to do masks, cloth masks and face coverings, we're only doing that, that won't be enough. But when we compile face masks, social distancing, cleaning on a regular basis, and also just hand washing on just a routine. When we're putting all those things together, we're doing all the extras to ensure that our kids are being safe. And even with the social distancing, where we're ensuring that we're reminding kids, we're still dealing with kids, and there are going to be days where we have to go ahead and remind kids, hey, remember the social distance. So to help with that effort, that's why there'll be various markers throughout the buildings. There'll be reminders, there'll be posters reminding them to social distance. We were just making sure recently, as today, just finalizing some of the images. So some of the images are going to be different within the building. Secondary buildings will be more of verbiage, while elementary schools will be more images reminding kids, here are areas where you can sit. Here's areas you should not sit. Here's how far you should be apart. So we're doing all the extras just to remind our kids, because we have to, these are our kids. And then this is where we specifically go into what we believe that should be happening with our students, where they should be social distancing. The fact that the state has recommended that 3rd grade through 12th grade, but what we're doing, we'd like to recommend, or highly recommend, that all students are wearing face masks. We want to ensure that we're not only keeping our children safe, but we're also keeping our staff members safe as well. So, and we know that, with age levels, there are going to be some difficulties there. And we also understand that there are going to be some medical issues that won't allow them. So we've also purchased a lot of different things we'll talk about a little later, as in desk shields, face shields, and just making sure that we're social distancing. We're doing those things just to ensure that we are keeping kids safe, because there's going to be a child that's going to pull their mask down. We have to remind them, but we don't want to go overboard and have that as an issue on a daily basis. So when we're seeing that children are having some difficulties, the goal is to work with parents to come up with some common ground to ensure that we're keeping all kids safe. And what you'll also see is just kind of highlights of where we're expecting kids to wear their masks. We're expecting them to wear it at all times. However, waiting for the bus, riding the buses, entering and exiting buildings, transitioning between classes, so on and so forth. We've kind of listed some of those areas that we want to ensure that they're mandatory, they're wearing wearing their face mask. And the next area actually goes into a little bit more where we're looking at staff. So with staff, we're recommending that all staff members wear their face mask. If for some reason, if they're in their offices or in the classroom long, we're understanding that they don't need to wear face masks, because that's the most social distancing that you can do. So they wouldn't need to wear their face mask, but while they're in class with students, making sure they're maintaining 6 feet as well, but they're wearing their face masks. We've gone through, and you'll see little pictures of them. We've gone through and we've purchased a few items that will help some of our teachers as well, because our teachers, the face mask that you see the teacher in the image, that may be a little difficult when a teacher is teaching phonics. So they may need to see the movement of the mouth. So we purchased some face shield for every one of our teachers to ensure that they have those things just in case.
So every teacher will have a screen, a shield. We bought a shield for every teacher. In addition to that, we bought desk guards, which is on the agenda today. And basically, what a desk guard is, it is a acrylic shield for every desk that on 3 ways, every student will have one, so they're protected from, just like if you go to a restaurant, they have those barriers set up. So every student will have their own barrier in the class.
That's good.
And go ahead. Okay. And the next area is the screening process. I just wanted to ensure that everyone understood exactly what the process is. At the door, or at the bus stop, at the door of the bus, each student will be screened. For if they're at the school and they come to the door and the temperature is high, the next step would be go to the nurse and they'll take the temperature again. If that student continues and the nurse sees that the student is ill, we have in each building, each administrator has created kind of an infirmary, an area where students will be until we can get a hold of parents. Some parents may be working, some parents may be on their way from work, or they may be somewhere where it may take some time for them to pick up their student. So it was important that we created a space, and those spaces will be created in each building where those students will be held until their parents are there to pick them up. If the student is fine, then they move on to class, but we do have some things in place to ensure that, students are returning home if they are showing symptoms at the door. So the screening process is very vital, is very important that we do this. So we purchased some units, to basically their thermal scanning machines that are standing right there at the door, along with someone from the staff to ensure that, we're monitoring the students as they come in. It only takes about 1 to 2 seconds to scan their temperatures. And if they're seeing that the temperatures are high, then they'll go ahead and get with the nurse, and they'll take the temperature once again to ensure that they didn't get a false reading. So we have some things in place to screen, and this works for our staff as well. This is not just students. This is for staff members as well. Every single person that comes in the door will have to go through the screening. So many of you may have seen this image before. This is the image for the Ohio Public Health Advisory System. And what this does is it really kind of takes into account how many cases are in a county. So you look at the different levels. Level 4 is basically the highest level, 3, 2, and then 1. And if we go ahead and scroll down, right now we're in our county, in Cuyahoga County, we are in red. We're in level 3 right now. This is information that's provided by the Ohio, the Department of Health, and it gives kind of all the guidelines of what this means, what schools should do, and what should happen according to the levels. Right now, again, we're at level 3. That's why there's some things that we're going to be proposing to you according to our levels. As we can move forward down to the next one, it kind of goes into exactly what we do at the school district. If we can scroll to the next, it goes into exactly what it looks like. At level 1, we'll start with level 4. Level 4 is where it is at its highest. So that will be an opportunity. We would be required to go back to remote learning. We go back to, as we did throughout the summer, throughout the spring, we'll go back to delivering lunches and drop-offs for our students for breakfast and lunch. And then we'll go directly and start using Google Classroom as we've been doing in the past. Level 3 and level 2, that's actually, again, where we are right now, where we're looking at either a blended approach, 8-day, B-day type of schedule. Low incidence students would come to school on a daily basis. Remote learning would always be within this pandemic, remote learning is always going to be an option. There will be some parents who are still concerned, no matter the different steps that we put into place. There will be parents who will still be concerned or not as comfortable with this. So we will continue to have remote learning as an option, even if we're at level 1. At level 1, it does not mean that the virus is gone. It means that the virus is there, but our numbers are lower. So what that would mean is that we will reopen school like regular. However, we'll keep those protocols in place, hand washing. We'll try our best with social distancing, asking kids to wear masks, so on and so forth. We'll still do those things, but we'll be able to do school reopening. And again, right now we're at level 3. We're nowhere close to level 1 right now. We're at level 3. And we go ahead to the next slide. And here are our options for school reentry. There's the 8-day, B-day schedule, which most districts are offering an 8-day, B-day schedule. That is an opportunity where half of the kids come one day and the other half of kids will be online. That is the 8-day, B-day schedule, and it would go, and we have an image that's following this that really shows you what that schedule looks like with the 8-day, B-day schedule. The 8-day, B-day kind of goes along with the blended learning piece. Online learning is one thing. Remote learning is just solely just online. The blended learning piece, the 8-day, B-day schedule type of situation, is where we have kids in school working, doing some in-person type of opportunities, and then we have kids who within the same day will be working online. Each student will continue.
Uh-oh.
May,
We're having a
excuse
problem
me,
with your
Dr.
audio,
Reynolds.
Dr. Reynolds.
May I ask board members who are not speaking to please put their units on mute so we can keep the background noise out. We will ask questions at the end of the presentation when we're afforded an opportunity. Thanks.
So our CCP students are basically our students who not only attend the high school, but they also attend Tri-C, or they are going out to different areas, Maple, Bedford, and so on and so forth. What we do is basically we will comply with what they have in place. So if they are participating online, then they will be online for those classes. If they are in person, according to Tri-C, and I don't think Tri-C is in person right now. I think all of theirs online, but we'll be following what their guidelines for those CCP. Low-incident students are the students, as we spoke with earlier, where those students will be attending on a daily basis. And the full remote learning, that is always going to be an option, as I stated a little earlier. We can go ahead and scroll up. So I wanted to ensure that we can tell you about what the blended learning would look like, but we can also show you what the schedule will be. So we've heard A day, B day. What we're referring to is as blue and gold days, where the schedule for the blue group, those are students who on Mondays and on Thursday, they will be in person. They will be at the school. And the other half of students would be online at that time. And those students will be in person on Tuesdays and on Fridays. On Wednesday would be the day designated for all students to be online. And that will be an opportunity for teachers to collaborate, for custodial team to do deep cleanings, for teachers to work on some of their online pieces that they'll be providing for students. So that is why that day on Wednesday is for all students. But what we're looking at is 2 days a week where students will be in person and the other 3 days will be online. This is consistent with the majority of the districts that we've spoken with, some of the things that they're trying as well. And this is what we're proposing at this moment for the district.
So I do want to add is that a lot of thought went into this with our curriculum team. One of our major concerns is that with any alternating schedule or online schedule, how do we ensure the kids get the depth of the curriculum and that they reach each standard or taught each standard? Ultimately, we all know that eventually when this is over, that the state will resume testing. At this point, with our students missing the last half of the year, and then whatever happens moving forward, we want to make sure that our kids are still learning at the levels they were before. So all efforts will be made to ensure that our scope and sequence is followed, that students have engaging lessons on a daily basis. So either in school or out of school, they will still receive a lesson that is grade level, that covers the standards of that grade level. So the curriculum team is working on a plan, and that plan will be ready in the next few days, in which how we will reinvent online learning in our district using our teachers so that it's not a deficit learning for students. But again, this will take a team effort. This will take our parents and teachers and staff all working in collaboration, because our parents will have a vital role in this. Because when students are at home, and if we have to go to all remote learning, it is going to be so important and crucial that our students are engaged, that they have, that we all are supporting each other, meaning the school, we provide the instruction, and that our parents are ensuring that our students are online and engaged in the lessons on a daily basis. Because if we have to go online, or if we have to do the blended model, we do not want any drop off in education at any point. We want to make sure that our kids are continuing to learn at the highest level.
And this just gives us a little more information about what the expectation is, just some key points to help our parents as well, which is another issue of us that we're addressing as well, how we support parents. We got a lot of feedback from our parents that it was difficult for them, and so what we're doing is we're working to figure out exactly how we can support parents. We have the plan, but now we need to ensure that we're doing the next step of how we support parents to be able to help us with ensuring that students are learning. So here's a little information about how the online learning piece is going to be working, a little key points there, nice little image for our students to see there.
And on Wednesdays, we are still working on how Wednesdays will look for our staff members. We're still working on that plan. We see it as an opportunity to plan. We see it as an opportunity to record lessons for the days, for the off days where the kids are, where for the group that's not going to be there. I think Wednesdays, and we'll have a final plan on how Wednesdays will look in the upcoming days as the curriculum team completes the plan. But Wednesdays would be a day of learning, a day of growth, a day of lesson planning, a day of taping lessons for our teachers and for our building. And Dr. Rentz will go into a little later about the physical aspects of what's going on Wednesdays. Well, just what's going on every day in our buildings.
Mm-hmm. All right, so the next area is transportation. How are we getting kids to school? So one of the things that, as I've talked to you earlier, there's going to be screening at the door of the bus, where someone will be there to take temperatures of each one of the students. So what we're recommending is that all students are wearing face masks as well as the driver, and students' temperatures, as it says in the statement, that their temperatures will be taken. We're asking that parents of elementary school students that walk their students to the bus. We know that won't be the case for every situation, because we have parents out there who are working, but we're asking that parents make the effort to walk those elementary school kids to the bus until their temperature is taken. Because what we're working on right now with the 8A B-Day schedule, we're looking at ensuring that we're dividing the city in half, using Green Road as our marker, and half of the district, half of the city will be in attendance at school, and the other half, the other, so on and so forth. That will help us with ensuring that families remain together. That was a very important piece that we wanted to ensure that we were doing. And it also allows us to concentrate our transportation to one particular area. So in the situation where a student who's alone, who's an elementary school student, who's alone at the bus stop, their temperature is high. What we're working on is creating kind of a rescue bus type of situation, which will pick the student up and transfer the student to the school building to be placed in the infirmary that we talked about a little bit earlier. And at that point, we'll be working to communicate with the parents for pickup. We don't want there to be situations where students are being left, or where one of the ideas we talked about was to place the student on the front of the bus, which that was something we didn't want to place any other student at risk. So those are some of the things that we're trying to work out. And the seating on the bus, we placed the image there so you could take a look at that. But what we're trying to do with seatings is that students will be seated up to 2 per seat. In most cases, because this is going to be half the school, there will only be 1, but it'll be up to 2 per seat within the same family whenever possible. So we try to keep those families who are together, they can sit multiple students in 1 seat for those families. And sanitizing the bus after every route, we're gonna make sure they're sanitized. On the bus, there's gonna be signage as well, telling students, here's where to sit, here's where you should not sit, just to ensure that we're trying our best with social distancing. There will be a monitor on the bus to ensure that kids are keeping their mask on so that everyone is protected. So those are some of the steps that we're taking to keep kids safe on the buses.
I would like to add, we bought sprayers for each bus. So each bus will have a sprayer. So once the route is completed, it will spray a disinfectant on each seat. And in addition to that, our plan to separate the district, this solves some of the issues with kids maybe coming to school the wrong day. If there's no bus coming to your side of town that day, there's no way a student can get on the bus and come to school. So we believe in being very strategic and developing our plan to say that if we only can bus and transport one side of town, that we will prevent some of the concerns we heard from teachers that, what if it's a blue student that come on gold day, what are we gonna do with that student? if there's no bus coming to that community on the goal day, that blue student wouldn't be there.
And the next area is about athletics. What are we doing exactly with athletics? All the information that we've taken from athletics has come from the Ohio Department of Health. Those are the guidelines that they've been using across Ohio. If you are not aware, they are pretty much in full force right now with athletics. Everything is mostly outside, where they're also using some of the guidelines provided by the Ohio Department of Health. And a lot of the things that you are seeing on this information, everything that you're seeing is pulled directly from the Ohio Department of Health. Again, with athletics has been running. The Ohio Department of Health has been on the forefront of ensuring that they were providing athletics information long before we even got this most of our information together for creating our plans. So you can go through that and see all the details of ensuring that social distancing, make sure we're that spectators, minimizing the number of spectators, seating, making sure this is a little later with some of the indoor sports, making sure there's distance in between the athletes and the few spectators that are allowed in there, starting times, and just make sure the areas in the locker rooms are clean and sanitized effectively. So the question always comes, what if someone is sick? What are we doing? How do we handle these type of situations? And all the information that we were able to come across, we've consolidated the information to come up with some of the steps that we'll be able to take if students are coming or showing symptoms. What do we do? And if students are saying that I have symptoms, these are the steps. 3 days with no fever, no symptoms, the symptoms approved. All of those are and. It's not just 3 days and you're fine. It's 3 days, no symptoms, you're improving, and then 10 days. So what is made easier is that if we just focus on the 14 days, those are the terms that have been used throughout the state, the CDC, that the number is 14. What the information that we've had, it really breaks down how that 14 works. And if someone's tested positive, what do we do in those type of situations? If they've been around someone, what do you do in those situations? And what we're asking all of our parents, what we're asking for all of our students, what we're asking them to do is before even leaving home is just to do those self-assessments. Take your temperature, make sure that there's no fever, make sure that you're not coughing, there's no symptoms, and stay home. If you are having those symptoms, just stay home. So we're recommending that for not only just students, we're recommending that for staff members as well. So there are the steps that we're going to be taking just in case we have a child who's sick or we have a staff member who reports that they're sick. These are the steps that we're going to be taking. So what this area is just the guidelines, just the overview of what we're doing as a district to ensure that we are cleaning on a regular basis, that we're hitting the high traffic areas, that we're using the correct products. So we have the plan in place, and we also have the steps on how we implement that plan, but not just that, how do we maintain that throughout the year? So what this area does, it really goes to making sure that we're continuing to provide teachers with wipes, hand sanitizer in the classroom, having hand sanitizer stations in the hallway throughout the building, making sure that all our custodial teams has been trained on how to clean areas. We've come up with a plan, like I said a little bit earlier, by going into each one of the buildings and understanding, walking through with the custodial team and also Mr. McDonald to ensure that we document exactly how we're going to do this specific building. Again, what we're providing here is just the overview of what we're committing to, what we're going to do to ensure that kids are safe, by even with just ensuring that the routine or replacing air filters, going into that to make sure we're using the right products, just to make sure that we are diligent about keeping kids safe and keeping areas clean. And then it goes in just a little bit more about cleaning different areas, deep cleaning of the facility and spaces, avoid sharing items that are difficult to disinfect. And about that, in our classes, what we recommended to our teachers, speaking to teachers, we're recommending that they all keep materials in containers. Each kid would have a container, so that, say in an art class, they're not sharing pens, they're not sharing chalk, they're not sharing any kind of art materials. Every one of the students will have their own containers, so that we don't have to worry about cross-contaminating and this kid's using someone else's pen, and now this contaminated. But again, as Mr. Jolly has talked about, we've purchased countless amounts of devices, meaning the electrostatic sprayers, the big backpacks, also those electrostatic sprayers, the products, even masks. We've purchased 20,000 masks, even though we're recommending that parents provide their students with their own masks. We have those masks just in case that there's those students who either lose a mask or there's some type of issue or they don't have the mask. So we're trying to make sure that we're prepared in every one of these type of situations. And lastly, this is pretty much the timeline of how we'd like to go ahead and begin. So in those cases where students, parents choose full remote learning, August 26th would be the full day schedule. Where remote learning, whether it be with live teachers, these will be teachers within our district, certified teachers that will be teaching students. And August 27th will be begin the remote learning schedule. Blended learning, the hybrid schedule is used for very different topics. That's why different verbiage for that. We'd like to begin on August 26th, where we have a full day. We're looking into transitioning students, kind of a staggered type of approach. So on August 27th, we want to go ahead with the blue group, August 28th with the gold group, and then August 31st to follow the blended learning and so on and so forth, where we're going right to Tuesdays and Thursdays for each group. And that pretty much covers a lot of the information that's within the plan. Again, this should be and continues to be a living document where we are making adjustments according to what we're learning. And if as everyone has, if you've been really paying attention to media and articles and all the information that's coming out, it is changing every single day. There's more information. There's better information. How they're treating patients with COVID, how they're identifying whether someone has symptoms. Those things are changing. So we cannot just say that this is our plan and we're sticking there. We have to be able to be flexible within the plan to make adjustments as necessary. And I'd like to open that to go ahead and return that to Mr. Jolly.
So I would like to reiterate the remote learning is always an option. People will always have the option of going on remote learning. It's always an option. So I'll give our plan. So after tomorrow night's meeting, we will open up another survey. In this survey, we will ask our parents to commit to which type of learning they want. They will commit to either online learning or they'll commit to the in-school learning. We will have a week turnaround on that. So a week, we'll give them to July 31st. Is that correct, Dr. Reynolds? July 31st to make their selection. And then at that point, we will I'm gonna ask the board for another meeting to discuss what the findings are. And then we can kind of give people some direction on where we're going. So that's the plan. I would like to see if we possibly can meet next Saturday, the morning of August 1st, if that's possible. For our meeting to discuss the findings and to move forward. I'm not asking for a decision or anything that day, but just a review of what the data tells us so that you're aware. Because we do want to give our parents enough time to make whatever arrangements they need to make. If we have to go all remote, we need them to have the time to make the arrangements. If we do the blended model, we still need our parents enough time to make the arrangements. I will say that I'm hearing from both camps. You know, you have some parents that say they're not going to send their kids back. Then you have a lot that say they need us. They need their kid in school. The
Right.
kid is not learning well online. We have a lot of parents who just went back to work who can't stay home, or at this point feel like can't stay home with their child because their job matters. All these things are factors that's in play with this. We do know some of our counterparts in other areas are trying to bring everybody back to school. That is not one of our plans at all, to bring everybody back. But if the conditions on the ground and the board approval, we would like to move with the hybrid model. If the ground, if conditions allow, if the board approval, because and I can speak for myself, and I can speak for our principals and our administration, and I can't speak for the teachers union. I can't speak for all the teachers, but I know that a lot of our educators know that our students need us, and if there's any way that we can provide an education for them, I think we all would try. Not sacrificing safety in no way, but anything we do now is a risk. I mean, go to the grocery store, it's a risk. You go to Walmart, it's a risk. But with the proper safety protocols and procedures, we believe we can mitigate that risk and ensure that everyone's safe and students are healthy and teachers are healthy too. So I leave that to the board. The request for a meeting next week after we get all of our data to revisit what our data tells us, and then to continue this conversation so that we can inform our parents of what our final decision is as soon as possible.
Well, Mr. Jolly, Dr. Reynolds, I want to say thank you very much. That was a very good presentation. I think anyone that's watching tonight's meeting, we do have quite a few viewers, are able to see that there was a lot of work, a lot of collaboration. Clinic has worked with you guys to develop a very solid program. And as you noted, we do know that our counterparts across Northern Ohio period, are all of them, we're all looking at very similar programs. So I know we all know that there's data we've got to follow based on what levels we're at. So as you said, Dr. Reynolds, you said, Mr. Jolly, this is very fluid. It's very fluid. So I don't know if you want to open the floor now to questions from the board.
Yes.
I will ask though that we are conscious of the fact that everyone has to have an opportunity to have a voice. So if we could just kind of go around, I'll call round robin. If you have multiple questions, if you would just ask your first question the first time, allow it to be answered. And then if you have additional questions, we'll circle back around. Just want to make sure that everybody gets an opportunity to ask a question. And I do believe, Earl, I saw you raise your hand, so we'll start with you, but you are on mute.
All right, thank you very much, Madam Chair. Before I even go into my questions, and I'll let you know, I've been jotting things down, and we're gonna have to go around a few times because I have 4 jotted down. I only asked the first one the first time, of course. I just want to recognize the obvious like time, effort, and attention to detail that we can tell went into the formulating of this plan. So kudos to Dr. Reynolds and his staff and Superintendent Jolly to put together this extensive plan that I can tell was very involved and was a lot of effort to put this together. My first question was about the buses. I started, the day starting, the transportation. Is it in our plan to have the bus driver come off the bus to take the temperatures, or would there be a team? Would be someone on the bus that will be assisting the bus driver who will be, have the thermometers so the bus driver doesn't have to engage and disengage each time they take the temperatures? What's our plan there?
Right now, our plan is to have a bus monitor on the bus.
Yes, sir.
That'll be an additional person. That person will have twofold purpose. The first purpose is to ensure and to do the temperature, but the other one is to make sure that young people stay in their seat. If we have a bus driver driving the bus, it's very hard for them to monitor the students who are kids And you know, from all of us riding the bus, we might sit in one seat and then we jump off to the other seat. So we would do our best to get aids. I mean, we have a posting. The posting is not being touched a lot. A lot of people not going for it for the posting, but we're gonna do our best to have aids on the bus to ensure that kids aren't in seat and also take the temperature.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Barbara, did you have any questions?
Well, I wanted to say to Dr. Reynolds and Mr. Jolly, I think they done did a fantastic job as for the plan in restarting our school. My biggest thing is for our young people, and when I say young people, I'm talking about pre-K through second grade. And I just see that the pre-K through second grade is the foundation for their education. I just feel that they need more structure to learn. And I'm trying to see, is there any way probably you could put something in place that's gonna ensure their education is what I'm asking. And because that's my biggest concern, because I have seen so many pre-K and through second grade that is not prepared. You, Mr. Jolly, you said that they missed almost 4 months of school last year. They already, to me, they already are behind. So I want to know, do you have anything in place like a tutor or something in place that could really help our very young, because they need it?
So that is one of the reasons why we want them to come back to school, be in school,
Right.
because is, as our data has shown, is that when they're in our school buildings with our teachers, our kids are learning at the highest levels. We are catching them up, the ones who are behind, and we are excelling the ones who are on grade level. The concern with the online is that every child doesn't learn that way, especially at the earliest ages when you don't have the foundation of reading is solid. That is a concern, a serious concern of all of ours, is our most youngest students, and how do we maintain the momentum that we've grown of educating them at the highest level. I don't know. We don't have an answer. This is going to be one team, one vision, one goal. It's going to take everybody. It's going to take us doing a little more. It's going to take our parents doing a little more. It's going to take us helping our parents, those who might not understand reading at that, how to teach reading with us, doing parent workshops. We talked about a parent university where, hey, we teach our parents how to teach phonetics. And those are the type of things that we're going to have to do to try to help our parents, help our students, those who are parents that need the help. But everybody's going to have to do more. Ideally, we get them in the buildings and our teachers do their thing. But if we can't get them in our buildings, and we got this beautiful $30 million building that's coming up, we can socially distance everybody in and do great things in, because it's twice, the classes are twice the size of what we currently have. But my answer to that is that it's a concern. We don't have an answer. It's going to be more. It's going to be that we all have to do more, and that us as a district we'll have to help our parents be able to help their child, those that need the help. And that would be the parent university, where we have weekly sessions where we go over what the students need with the parents, like a Zoom like this. We have our teachers and our staff do the meetings, and we educate everybody at the same time. That's what I see is the only way if we have to go all remote, or a parent even chooses the remote pathway.
Thank you.
Mimi, did you have any questions? You're on mute. Mimi, you're on mute.
Okay, all right. So I just kind of want to echo what everybody else has already said, and that is to thank Mr. Jolly and Mr. Reynolds for the hard work that they put in. I'm really proud of the plan that you guys put before us. I know that first and foremost, what our expectation is, as well as yours, is to be sure that everybody is safe. I'm actually going to reserve my questions. I'd like to hear, as Mr. Jolly said, what the parents have said. So yes, I'm going to reserve it, and just say thank you. That's really all I'm going to say at this time.
Thank you. Ray, do you have any questions or comments?
I do have a comment, Madam Chair. I want to thank Dr. Reynolds and Superintendent Jolly and his staff for putting this together in a detailed reopening. I've actually seen, Madam Chair, 4 different ones in Jennings, Texas, Rocky River, Tampa Bay, Florida, and the one in Atlanta Public Schools. This one is probably the second best one I've seen out of those 4 in those different states. What we got to go through, and I know this happens with all public schools, but we're going through a challenge of reopening schools. It's very challenging to Superintendent Jolly. It's very challenging to Dr. Reynolds and to our board. We want to make sure all of our scholars that attend our school are safe. So with the plan that they have, and like Mimi said, you want to hear from the parents and their concerns, but I think it's a detailed reopening. And like I said, I've looked at 4, and ours is probably the second best. I would say Tampa was probably the best that I've looked at. But one thing that we have to do is protect our scholars. And that's all I'm concerned with. I want to make sure that all the buildings are clean and safe, and we're doing temperature gauging, and we have masks. And we just want to make sure that when they come and we do a hybrid or whatever we decide to do, we got to make sure our buildings are safe. Until we get our pre-K to 5 going in January, we can do that at social distance. But right now, if we go into the school year, August 26th, and we have 4 months to do it, we just got to make sure that our children are safe. But one thing is that our children definitely have to go back to school somehow, some way. I don't think, for me, virtual will train our scholars in Warrensville. I feel that they need to touch and see actual educator. But I think it's a good plan. I think we need to hear from the parents. And as a board, we need to look at it and see what the best options is, safe option for our scholars, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Earl, I'm going to reserve my questions until we hear from the parents and to see what that survey is next week. So you can just take the floor and answer your last 3 questions.
I can go ahead and run my list.
Run your list.
All right. The desk guard. I was thinking, when we mentioned the desk guard, would the desk guard remain with the desk, or will it go with the student? And if so, how will we store the desk guard to, like maintain the safety of it?
Yep. For the desk guards, they will stay, let's say elementary schools, those are basically going to be the child's, because they don't do a lot of transitioning. That will be for the child. So when we're doing our sanitizing, as what we've talked about, what we want the routines, we want there to be a routine within the classroom where students are sanitizing their areas on top of the custodial team coming in to sanitize the areas. Again, we talked about the electrostatic sprayers, where we can ensure that we are spraying a large area like a room in a short amount of time. All the items in there can be sprayed, and it is safe, and then it won't be damaging to items like paper and so on and so forth. So what we want is for the teachers to create a routine in their classrooms where the students are cleaning the guards. And then, but we have, if there's a recommendation from the board, we have purchased 1,200 of those desk guards. So we have an ample amount if your recommendation is to provide those students with those guards.
Got it.
Also, in addition, we got Mr. McDonald and his team are making additional ones. So I think right now he's provided all the secretaries in the district with those type of barriers, and he will continue to make them. So we know how to make them internally. We just couldn't make as many as we needed.
Couldn't make
1,200. Right. So that's why we ordered them from an outside party. So we are again, like Dr. Reynolds said, it's going to take all of us, our staff, it's going to take our students, our custodial staff, it's going to take everybody to ensure that everything is clean, just like we're doing in our houses now, like people wiping doorknobs and, making sure everything is clean. That same practices is going to have to happen in school. It just go back to what we said earlier this year when we had our basketball run. We said we all we got, and we got to do everything we have to do for each other and for ourselves to ensure that everyone is safe and secure. And that's at any time we go back. So just say, we have to go back remote. We eventually gonna go back, and we're gonna have to do all the things that we're saying now. This plan that we implementing is gonna get implemented either now or it's gonna get implemented in October or it's gonna get implemented in January. So we have to develop these routines and protocols now so that when we do come back, either in August or whenever, that they're already in place, already know, already thought about. It's not anything new, but it's something that has become ingrained into our culture.
That's not. All right. Another question that came to mind as while listening to the presentation when we were talking about the A day and the B day. How will we handle lunches on your non-attendance day? So on, if I'm an A, so on Tuesday and Wednesday and Friday, is there a plan for me to get a lunch on the day that I'm not in attendance?
So that's basically what we did this summer. We will hand out multiple lunches. So as the students walk out, we'll give them lunch for the next 2 days. So on Monday, when you walk out, you'll get Tuesday and Wednesday's lunch. And we'll continue that. And that's how we did. We've done that this summer, and we've done that in the spring. So we'll continue that process to ensure that they have 5 lunches a week, 5 breakfasts and lunches a week.
Okay. All right, that was a concern. And finally, okay, when we were talking, Dr. Reynolds, you were talking about the levels, and it seems as if there were different things that went level 1 through 4, but level 1 seemed as if we would keep the safety protocols in effect, but we would go back to attendance. And if we got to level 4, we would go completely to remote learning. Do we have a time frame established for how long we would want our particular area to be in a level before we changed up our program?
Yeah, what we're doing is we're going by those guidelines provided, because that's an Ohio Department of Health piece right there. So as in, if we see something and we're starting to see that it's transitioning to level 1, we're in level 2, and we're seeing this transition to level 1. What I would recommend to the board is that we don't do it immediately.
That's what I was thinking.
We kind of go to a grading period. I like to think semesters, because semesters will be a lot easier. But if it was at near a quarter, we like to do it like that. It would be very difficult if we just on Friday we're at level 2, and then during the weekend we're level 1, and we come back the following week. That would be very difficult for the learning and just the flow of learning. So we want to ensure that our flow of learning hits a marker, and then we'll make a transition instead of just doing it in the midst of a grading period.
Understood. So in best case scenario, semesters, and if necessary, the quarters, the grading.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. You know what? That actually takes care of my entire list. So thank you very much for indulging me.
No problem.
So I do want to before we move on. I know that everybody is heavily concerned about the students. However, our educators, all of our staff members, from the food service staff to our security, anybody in our buildings, they are our full concern. We want the children to be safe, but we need our employees to be safe. So I know a lot of the questions tonight were focused on the children's well-being, but this is for everyone's well-being. So I just wanted to close out tonight's conversation with that. I think Mr. Jolly and Dr. Reynolds did an amazing job sharing that. They share protocols for students and for the staff, but I just wanted to reiterate this is important for everybody. And I don't want to step on toes, Dr. Reynolds, but those levels, as they said, are for the state of Ohio. So once Cuyahoga County or any county goes into a level 4, the governor is going to tell us immediately what's going to be done.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
So,
ma'am.
I mean,
Exactly how-
at certain points, we are at the mercy, as we were back in March, of the governor.
Yes.
Of course.
And
Okay.
that's the level of flexibility has to be there because we don't know what's going to happen. And we can actually say day to day. We don't know what's going to happen today.
Correct.
Governor can come on tomorrow and say we're level 4 in Cuyahoga County, and then we have to make a judgment. But I think having a plan of action, we won't be caught off guard. We'll know exactly how to respond according to what is given to us. And I'd like to reiterate that, this plan was the efforts of several teams, several staff members, parents coming in, providing, teachers providing feedback. And this was definitely a collaborative effort. I'd like to thank everyone who participated, even the emails that gave me kind of things to look at. Those were extremely helpful. And I'd like for anyone who's watching this to continue to share. I know sometimes folks think, oh, that's too much information. It is not too much information. As I said earlier, we want to make sure that we're not cutting any corners. We want to take a look at every avenue, no matter how long it takes, or the time that it takes to do that, because we want to make sure that we do this right.
Right.
Yeah,
We have a lot of lives in our hands right now.
yeah. I'd just like to thank Pam Barnes and Ms. Henderson, because whenever called, they would assemble people to come and meet with us and let them talk candidly. And we appreciate that because, as you said, the staff health is just as important as everybody else's. So those leaders, just recognize them on this meeting, Pam Barnes and Cheryl Henderson, for their leadership in helping us develop the plan also.
Yep. So again, kudos, great job. And I know this took quite a bit. I think it was a critical conversation. I thank everyone for their patience. Dr. Reynolds, again, thank you for joining us tonight. But if there's no further discussion, we're going to move on to item 1.5. I'm sorry, 1.6, Ms. Dr. Rock's treasurer's update.
I think Ms. Barb.
Yes, ma'am.
I have one quick question.
Yep.
Mr. Reynolds or Miss Dr. Reynolds or Mr. Jolly, have any of our children tested positive for this virus? Are you aware of? I know.
I'm gonna stop. We're not. That goes against HIPAA laws. We only get numbers. We cannot answer that information.
Well, they could give numbers.
They can give numbers, but we don't have it by the age.
I only asked that question because of the report that Mayor Sellers gave us.
Right.
Mr. Jolly. I only asked that question because of that. And I want to make sure that all of our children are virus-free and can keep it that way.
Right. So I can speak to that somewhat. So we the city of Warrensville has now start posting the COVID numbers on their website. So as of today, the number I was received, it was 159 people in the city of Warrensville, or addresses, I believe, since, or confirmed cases since April 5th. So we will work closely with the city to pay attention to those numbers. If you look at those numbers, and equate them to what the population of Warrensville is, over 14,000 people. That's less than 1% of the people have confirmed cases at this time. Again, that's something that we will monitor. Every time those numbers come out, we will be paying attention to those numbers. Again, like Ms. Mitchell said, HIPAA laws and other things, they can't reveal who is it or, but I think we will keep the board updated and the community updated on these issues as they happen.
Yeah.
All right.
One thing I will ask, we are, for some reason tonight, we're getting a lot of feedback. So if you're not speaking, can you please keep your iPad, your computer, everything on mute? I'm sorry. I understand it's an issue, but we got a lot here. All right, so
All right.
Dr. Rock, if you will go ahead, sir, with your update.
Update, it's very easy. There's an update from me today because I know you needed extra time for the open school presentation.
Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Well, then we're going to move on through our agenda, and I do believe we will move through this at a very normal pace. If I may have a motion on the floor to approve by consent agenda for the treasurer's report and financial recommendations, items 2.1 through 2.6, please.
Madam Chair, I'd like to move the consent treasurer's report and financial recommendations for item 2.1 through 2.6.
May I
I
have a
second.
second?
I second.
I'm sorry, Mimi. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is there any discussion board on these topics?
Just
If none, Dr. Rock, can you please call the roll? Oh, I'm sorry. I missed you, Mimi. Did you have a question?
I was just going to thank Dr. Rock and Mr. Jolly for sending the video that they sent showing us how the thermal screening system works. I really appreciate it. I'm sure we all did.
All righty. Dr. Rock, thank you. Can you please call the roll?
Yes. Mr. Roberts,
Yes.
Mrs. Gator?
I'm sorry, did you say me?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Mrs. Moomin?
Oh, hold on. Let me unmute her. Hold on. I'm trying to unmute her myself.
When you do it, she'll have to do it for her end when you hit the button.
There she goes.
Hit the button again, Ms. Bowman.
Yes, see, I can't do anything tonight.
Okay, I'm fine. Yes, yes, Dr. Rock.
Thank you. Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Ms. Mitchell?
Yes. Motion passes 5-0. Next on our agenda is item 3. If we can please have a motion to approve by consent agenda superintendent's recommendations and presentations for board action administrative staff. And this is items 3.1 and 3.2.
Madam Chair, I move the consent superintendent's recommendations and presentations for board action administrative staff for items 3.1 and 3.2.
Where's 3.2?
I second.
It's been moved and seconded. Board, is there any discussion?
Can you just show us what 3.2 is? It looks like that one might have been added after.
Right, I don't see 3.2.
Yeah.
3.2 is our data coach position at the middle school. That was the position that was held by Miss Shaw, who moved to the assistant principal role. Mr. Charles.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she moved. So Mr. Charles McCants is actually was a teacher in Warrensville for in the 90s and the early 2000s. He went on to East Cleveland to serve as a principal in East Cleveland. And the interview team at the middle school, along with the curriculum team, chose him out of, I think it was about eight finalists for the position.
All righty. If nothing else, can we please call the roll, Dr. Rock?
Mrs. Gator?
Yes.
Mrs. Moomin?
Yes.
Mr. Roberts?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Ms. Mitchell?
Yes, motion passes 5-0. Thank you. We'll take a pause here. Dr. Reynolds, feel free to exit the meeting if you like, or feel free to stay. Either way is fine with us. We're glad to have you.
Not a problem.
Okay.
I'll hang around.
I'm sorry.
I don't mind hanging around at all.
Good. It's nice having you with us. All righty. Next on our agenda is item number 4. I need a motion on the floor to approve by consent agenda superintendent's recommendation and presentation for board action certified staff. And this is items 4.1 through 4.6.
Madam Chair, I move the consent superintendent recommendation and presentation for board action certified staff for items 4.1 through 4.6.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Ray, I think your laptop and your phone are both on and you're giving us feedback. It's been moved and seconded. Board, is there any discussion on these items?
No, thank you.
I would like to speak on the coaching. We are working with the union to determine if we have to go remote and these activities don't occur, how that will work out. So we had a conversation with them last week, and we also had a short one today where Ms. Barnes shared some information with me on how we would determine if we do go all remote, how supplementals will be handled. So we'll be coming back to the board with that once that's determined.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. If there's nothing else, Dr. Rock, can you please call the roll?
Who made the second motion?
I did. I second.
I'm so sorry. Mrs. Moomin,
Yes.
Mr. Roberts,
Yes.
Mrs. Gator,
Yes.
Mr. Freeman,
Yes.
Ms. Mitchell.
Yes, motion passes 5-0. Next on the agenda is section 5. We need a motion on the floor to approve by consent agenda superintendent's recommendations and presentation for board action classified staff. And this is going to be items 5.1 through 5.4.
Madam Chair, I move the consent superintendent recommendation and presentation for board action classified staff. We're looking for items 5.1 through 5.4.
May I have a second?
I second.
It's been moved and seconded, and I believe Ms. Barbara seconded first. So it's board, is there any additional conversation under this topic?
None for me.
We are,
None for me.
I would like to add, we are looking for another parent involvement specialist. So we will only have 2 now in the district. Since we are getting our elementary school, that person will be responsible for the elementary school. And then Mrs. Farmer will do middle and high. And as we move into the new building, she'll be responsible for both.
Thank you. All right, Dr. Rock, I don't think I hear anything else. Can you please call the roll?
Mr. Roberts,
Yes.
Mrs. Gator,
Yes.
Mrs. Moomin,
Yes.
Mr. Freeman,
Yes.
Ms. Mitchell.
Yes, motion passes 5-0. Thank you, board. Next on the agenda is section 6. We need a motion on the floor to approve by consent agenda superintendent's recommendations and presentations for personnel and programs. And this will be items 6.1 through 6.10.
Madam Chair, I move the consent superintendent recommendation and presentation for personnel and programs. Looking for items 6.1 through 6.10.
Thank you. May I have a second?
I second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Board, are there any questions, comments?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
in reviewing the agenda, I found myself unfamiliar with the passport program, and I just wanted to ask if I could get just a quick explanation of that prior to our vote.
I will let Mr. Jolly make that, provide that update.
Yes, so the passport program is one in which some of our students, have therapy and educational services in their IEPs, or they're already putting their IEPs before they come to us. So the ESC provides that service, which makes us in regulation of their IEP. So basically what we do is contract with the ESC to ensure that the services are met. Since we don't have, and oftentimes these students don't attend our district. So they're in other places that have been placed, but they live in Warrensville Heights. So they live in our city, we're responsible for them. They don't attend our school. They are court placed, or because of their disability, they are placed in other facilities. And what this program does is provide them with the services they need.
Okay, understood. All right, thank you, sir.
Thanks for your question.
Madam-
Anything else?
No, ma'am.
All right, Dr.
I
Rock.
have-
Oh,
I'm
go
sorry,
ahead, Mimi.
I apologize. So I do have a question, a comment, I guess, about the code of conduct.
We
Since,
can't hear you.
can you hear me now?
Yes,
Okay, since the majority, it's possible that the majority of what we're going to be doing is online. Is it possible to have the student code of conduct handbook added to the website? And the other thing I'd like to know is, once we establish the face mask policy, can we add that to the student code of conduct?
Yes, ma'am. That both of those are definitely.
Okay,
Yeah, we would do both of them. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am. The only issue with it being online, so what happens when we do it in school, everyone gets the handbook and they sign a handbook verification form to indicate they received it and signed it. So they received it and they signed that they received it, so we know they got it. So what we got to work through is, how does that work remotely? That you read it, almost like, when you do a DocuSign or something, we got to figure out that process with that.
yeah, probably with a lot of forms this year.
Mhm.
So yeah, that was the only thing that I had. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Rock, can you please call the roll?
Mrs. Gator,
Yes.
Mrs. Moomin,
Yes.
Mr. Roberts,
Yes.
Ms. Freeman,
Yes.
Ms. Mitchell.
Yes, motion passes 5-0. Thank you once again, board. Next on our agenda, this is the second reading of policy 8801. This is our policy where we are following up on the resolution that we've already approved to make Juneteenth a recognized holiday at our district for those employees that are working at the time when Juneteenth would be celebrated. So, Member Gator, I know there were some questions, concerns you had the last time. Is there anything that you wanted to? All righty.
No, just want to say thank you.
Thank you. Finding none, can I have a motion on the floor, please, to approve policy 8801 regarding Juneteenth for the Warrensville Heights City School District?
Madam Chair, I move to approve policy 7.1, 8801, second reading for celebration of Juneteenth.
Thank you.
I
May have a
second.
It's been moved and properly seconded, and I don't believe there's any additional discussion, except I'm very proud to say that our district was a trendsetter. Mr. Jolly, thank you so much for your foresight and working with your team to have this taken care of so expeditiously. Without any further comments, Dr. Rock, can you please call the roll?
Mrs. Moomin,
Yes.
Mr. Roberts,
Yes.
Mrs. Gator,
Yes.
Mr. Freeman,
Yes.
Ms. Mitchell.
Yes, motion passes 5-0. Hopefully this will be a start in the right direction, and eventually this will become a federal holiday. Now that would be a great day in this
It will
country.
be a fantastic day.
Yep. So there are no items under sections 8 and 9 or 10. We do have correspondence. I wanted to share with the board a beautiful thank you message from Mrs. Doris Jolly, thanking us for the flowers that we sent to her at the time of her family's loss. I wanted to just kind of reiterate all of the very exciting things that we have going on in our district that Mr. Jolly went over at the very beginning of the call. Everything again is going to be managed from a very safe and socially distant environment. So we look forward to having the community come out and participate at each of those events. And then I just wanted to thank everyone for getting back with me so quickly regarding our board retreat. As we did put the notice out, we are going to postpone this because of our own county's numbers relative to COVID. And we would be in an enclosed building for 2 days, and we just wanted to maintain everyone's safety. So we will be working with our facilitator and each of you to get this rescheduled, hopefully sometime this fall, prayerfully if these numbers drop.
Really?
Yep. So didn't have anything else. Dr. Rock, was there any other correspondence?
No.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Jolly. Any other? I keep on making you be Dr. Jolly. Mr. Jolly, any other announcements?
No, ma'am, that's it.
All right.
Madam,
Go ahead.
I'm sorry again. I just wanted to let everyone know, perhaps you already know, but OSBA is hosting town halls every Wednesday. I've sat in on a few of them and they're really interesting. A lot of them have to do with what's going on with COVID-19. It's free. So if you, and I believe it's on their website too. So you might even want to go to their website to just kind of see what some of the town halls have been about. It's only an hour long, but you do have to register for it.
Right.
So there is one next Wednesday. Just wanted to kind of share that information.
Thank you. Yeah, they're every Wednesday at 4, and
Thank
they
you.
are pretty good. I've
Thank you,
sat in on
ma'am.
a couple myself. If you go to the website, it's under, I believe, training and events. I guess last but not least, before we adjourn, I just want to remind everybody that today the governor did mandate masks for all counties throughout the state of Ohio, beginning tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. I'm confident that we are already masking up. If not, please wear your masks. Stay safe. I enjoy seeing and working with all of you guys, and I'd like to see everyone stay safe and healthy. With that, I need a motion on the floor to adjourn tonight's meeting.
Madam Chair, I'd like to adjourn tonight's meeting, July 22nd, 2020, regular board meeting.
May I have a second?
I
I
second.
second.
We are adjourned. Thank you all for a wonderful meeting. Have a good evening and stay safe.
Bye,
Thank you.
everybody.
Bye-bye.
All right.
Beautiful granddaughter.
Oh,
Mimi.
thank you.